Okay. Maseches Bava Kama Daf Chafei Amud Beis. Chafei Amud Beis Bava Kama Beis Hashem will be mitzlich in the shir. Nobody has to get scared of tumah v'tara. It's all good. Tumah v'tara is not a dog with scary teeth. It's not a bull that's going to gore you. They're all friendly people, the tumah v'tara guys. So what did we say yesterday? We already said the Linishmas. Let's go. We said yesterday as follows. There's a thing called Mapatz. Mapatz means the mat made out of reeds. And the question is it mekabel tumah? Does it receive the tumah from a mace? Yes or no? It doesn't fit the criteria of any of the things written in the Torah, any of the categories written in the Torah to be mekabel tumah. So the question is it mekabel tumah? Yes or no? Jeffrey says yes, because you are smart, because you learned yesterday's year. But the way to get to that conclusion was rather rocky. Yeah, okay, why? Because first of all, we know that Mapatz, there are really three stations in the journey. It's not that bad. We know that Mapatz for sure is metame bezav. The person who's a zav, he's metame b'mapatz because that's his turf, that's his thing. Oh. Okay, thank you. That's his thing. A person metame bezav is metame with everything that you sit on or you ride on. It says v'chol mishka v'shereshav alavazav, v'chol merka v'shereshav alavazav, etc., etc. And mimele by zav, we know anything that's meant to be lied down on for sure is nitma. Okay. Now you can't learn straight from zav in a kal vachomer to a mace, because then it would be a dayoy. Because by mace, we want to say, not only it's metame for 1 day, it's metame for 7 days. And that we have not found in zav. Get me? That's why the dayoy would impede and would actually destroy the whole kal vachomer. Because if you want to tell me that the mapatz is metame 7 days, which we do, how do you get that? You can't get that by kal vachomer because the student cannot be more than the teacher. Yeah? You can't get more than you receive. And therefore, what do we say? We have to learn through a stopover. There has to be one other station in the middle. What is that? Sheretz. Sheretz is good. Sheretz is a good guy. It's a dead Sheretz. So nice. So now, what do we don't know that a dead Sheretz is Tamid b'Mapatz either. Now we have three stations. We learn the kal vachomer from Zav to Sheretz. You learn kal vachomer that for sure, if Zav, which is more kal, because it's not metame the small kalim where the finger of the Zav can't get through, and yet the Zav is metame b'mapatz, or the more so Sheretz, which a tiny bit of Sheretz is metame. I checked yesterday. Sheretz is not as much as I thought from the Bartanur. The Rambam says it's about 1/9 of a gris. And a gris is 19 millimeters. So how much is that? That's not big. Yeah, it's a small thing. Yeah, that's for sure. Leave me with the math, but it's a very small piece gris. Of a circle whose diameter is 19 millimeters. That's very small. So that can enter into almost anywhere. Now comes the term tells me, if the Zav, which is so kal, and yet metame b'mapatz, or the more so Sheretz, which is more chomer, because it's metame even a tiny piece that goes through the kalim, for sure it's metame b'mapatz. Very nice, beautiful. Now let's go to the next station. Now we can learn from Sheretz to mace, and that's the destination. That's where we're going to get through. Baruch Hashem, from Sheretz we get to where? To mace, not through kal vachomer. Kal vachomer would always kill me because kal vachomer not kill me. Kal vachomer would die because of dayoy, like die. So now so now kal vachomer, we're learning from Sheretz to where? To mace. We'll learn b'gzera shava. Gzera shava is okay. But gzera shava, we don't say dayoy. Gzera shava is like an automatic thing. No, nobody bothers you with dayoy. It's not about kal vachomer. It's not about the one who's more severe and one that's more lenient. It's just two halachas. I don't care which one is more chomer than the other. That's not the factory or bichlal. And therefore, when we say that we learn by gzera shava, which gzera shava? It says beged va'o. And then again it says beged va'o by both Sheretz and by mace. Mazel tov. Just like Sheretz is metame b'mapatz, mapatz is metame b'Sheretz, as we learned already from the kal vachomer, so too by mace. Gzera shava, beged o, boom, and beged va'o, boom, beged o. The two of them are linked together, and now we say that we have the Gzera shava, and now we know that what's his name? That a mace is metame b'mapatz. Somebody died on a mat. That could happen. There's a mat on the mat. Yeah. So the mat is metame that. The M-E-T is metame the M-A-T. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Now what do we say? Now there's a problem. Why? Because when you say Gzera Shava, there are three levels of Gzera Shavas. There are three levels quality-wise. There's regular, there's silver, and there's gold. There are different levels of Gzera Shava, yeah? Like the Maccabi card, yeah? You have different options, yeah? Now, what is the minimum one of Gzera Shava? The minimum level of Gzera Shava is when both places, both statements in the Torah, for example here, beged vo, or many other Gzera Shava, tesvav, are not mufna. They are not free, so to speak, just to teach me the halacha, the Gzera Shava. They are there in order to give me a message in their local field where they are. Such a Gzera Shava, then of course, could be Gzera Shava, but meshivin. Meshivin means if this Gzera Shava doesn't make sense to us logically, because those two halachas, logically speaking, by human logic, are not the same, then the Gzera Shava is not going to work. So then we need a higher level Gzera Shava called what? Mufne mitzad echod. Let's say on two ends of the stick, on two ends of the, yeah, we have one halacha, let's say your Sheretz, and another halacha mace. You need like in a good, in electricity, in a circuit, you need both ends, right? The plus and the minus, how we call them, I don't know, yeah, the right? Negative and positive, you need both ends, otherwise the circuit's not going to work. That, yeah. So mimele here, you need the two ends of the stick. Let's say one of them works, one of them is free, and the other one is not free. One of them is there as a redundant word only to tell me the Gzera Shava. The other one is needed for its own context, for its own halacha. What happens then? So now let's go back to the Gemara. Yeah, Vakati still mufne, where in the line starts with the word mufne. Mufne mitzad echad hu. It's about the bottom third of the page. Mufne mitzad echad hu. Well, it's only mufne from one side, because we have proven yesterday that Sheretz, the words beged v'o regarding Sheretz are redundant. Why? Because we know already that beged, a clothing item, garment, and also a leather garment are metame. We know that from shich v'zera, from a different halacha. So it's redundant. Yofi, redundant is good. Now it's free. It's there only for the purpose of the import-export of Gzera Shava. The Sheretz is metame beged and all. Not everything is metame everything. Sheretz can be metame, can defile beged, a clothing item made out of pen, semer, or fishim, or an item made out of leather. Excuse me? Of course not just Sheretz, so let's not get confused. Now we're talking about Sheretz. The words beged ve'ol, we're not discussing, by the way, beged ve'ol of itself. The issue is Mapatz. Beged ve'ol is only extra words that are there to be used as import-export to tell me, that there's a Gzera Shava between Sheretz and mace regarding Mapatz. We're in the Mapatz trail. We're in the Mapatz road. Like you have the Silk Road, Mapatz road, all the way from Zav to where? To Sheretz and then to mace. The journey, the leg of the journey between Sheretz and mace is done how? Is done with Gzera Shava. That Gzera Shava, the tool we use is Gzera Shava. That Gzera Shava is beged ve'o. And both sides of Gzera Shava have to be moved. I prefer no questions for the next 2 minutes, and then really. Yeah, what do you want? Hanicha, frag the Gemara. Hanicha lemando omar mufne mitzad echod lemeidin ve'en meshivin shapir. According to Mando Omer that says that mufne from one side, which is our Gzera Shava here, it's not the lowest, not the highest. One side is mufne, the other one is already occupied. Lemeidin ve'en meshivin. You learn and you can't answer. You're in North Korea. You can't ask questions on that. There's no answer, no answering back. Even if it's not logical, that's what the Torah says. So then it's very good. Even if I have questions, it's a good Gzera Shava. According to Mandomar that says that you may learn Gzera Shava, but if the Gzera Shava is logically questionable, you would ask on it, your Mashiv, you deny it, Ma'ikal Meimar. What are you going to say? Because over here, soon we're going to see that there is a question between Gzera Shava, between Sheretz and mace. And we saw it yesterday, remember? It's not so clear to compare Sheretz to mace, because why is Sheretz more severe than mace? You people should know it now. Why did we say Sheretz is worse than mace? Be regarding the size. Because really we say that the shear of a Sheretz is teeny weeny pincy, and the mace is all kazais. That's huge kazais comparing to sheretz. So mimela, how do you know? Sheretz is metame b'mapatz, but maybe the mace is not. Says the Gemara, don't worry. The mace nami afnuye mufne. Yes, Baruch Hashem. The other side of the ocean, in the locale of mace, also the words beged v'o there are also free. So we have two words, both sides of the gzer shava, both beged v'o of sheretz and beged v'o of mace are both panui. They're both unoccupied. They're both free. They're only there to teach me the import-export. Why do you say that it's free, the one of the mace? How do you know that the beged v'o of mace is really free? It's only there to tell me the gzer shava. Michdi, because nevertheless, mace is kashlashich v'zera. Mace also is juxtaposed with shich v'zera. D'chsiv anogeh b'chol tumah nefesh o ish asher titzeh mimeno shich v'zera. Either you touch a mace, or you have shich v'zera coming out. Uchsiv be'shich v'zera b'chol beged v'chol or asher olav shich v'zera. You see, it says already by zera beged o, beged ve'o. If so, very good. I know that beged and o are tumah by shich v'zera, and therefore two by mace because they're together. If so, beged ve'o the kotzer v'chmona by mace lamali. So why do you need the beged and o of mace? It's redundant. Why do I need it? Very good. We never before in our lives we were so happy to see extra words in the Torah. Shma mino shin mem Rosh Tevis. Shma mino lafnuye. Very nice. It's lafnuye. V'havi mufne mishnei tzadin. It's free, and now we have the perfect gold and diamonds gzer shava, the best gzer shava money can buy. The gzer shava is free on both ends of the stick, both sides of the circuit. We have a free gzer shava, free words that are there just to tell me the halacha of the gzer shava. Beged v'o here, beged v'o here. Mazel tov. And mimele, now we came to the conclusion that we have zav, kal vachomer to sheretz, metam how many days? 1 day. From sheretz, that's metam 1 day, we'll learn a gzer shava to mace, and mace is metam 7 days. Thank you for your patience. We still have 3 more words, 3 more lines to go through, or 4 more lines, and then here are questions. Hanicha, we still have an issue. We still have a small issue that we have to iron out, as they say. Hanicha, that everything is all very nice, all said, all hunky-dory. Leman de omar doin mino ve'uki be'asro. According to the opinion that says, Don mino ve'oki be'asro is as follows. Many times we have gzer shavas in Shas, right? All over Shas we see gzer shavas, they appear all over the place. There is a question between two, there's machloikes between two opinions. When we have gzer shava between X and Y, and when we import, we had it recently, I think it was Bava Basra, when we import from X to Y, do we import the whole package? Do we import everything? Or do we import it, but then we implement it in our own environment? What does that mean? Let's say we learn halacha from X to Y, and in X there's a certain halacha. Let's now start using real words instead of examples. We are importing tumas mapatz from where to where? From Sheretz to mace. Now, Sheretz is metame only 1 day. As we said yesterday, Sheretz would never be more than 1 day. Mace is 7 days. So it's true we don't say dayo, we're out of that trouble, true, Baruch Hashem. But Lamaisa, if we say doin mino means learn from it, the uki be'asro. Uki be'asro means place it in its own place, which means we import the concept of mapatz from where? From Sheretz. But once the goods landed in the land of mace, then we use the mechanism of mace, and it's metam 7 days like everything else of the mace. That's called don mina ve'uki ba'asro. You import the concept from the foreign place, from the foreign halacha, but once it comes to our local halacha, it uses the customs of the local halacha. McDonald's, they use everything all over the world. But let's say you want to import some Chinese food, you want to make it kosher, you make the kosher version of the Chinese food, right? Or you make it more suitable for the Israeli palate, right? You import something from abroad, but you customize it according to what you need over here. That's what it means here. Don't know also very good. You import the idea of mapatz from Sheretz, but how many days? 7 days, because the 7 days is the local goods of the mace. Oh, there's another opinion. Another opinion argues and says, don mino mino. You have to learn mino umino. If you have Gzera Shava, you have to learn everything from the original one. Yeah, hook, line, and sinker. Everything you have to learn from the original one. If so, Michael Memo, what are you going to say? Because Lamaisa, you have to import everything from Sheretz. That would be one day. It's like a package deal. If you learn, from Sheretz, and Sheretz is Mapatz Mapatz one day, and it should also be Mapatz one day, and not 7. So why do you say 7? Omar Rove, 1 second, Ellen. Omar Rove, Omar Chro, Kibastem Migdechem beyom hashvi. Rove quotes the pasuk saying, Kibastem Migdechem beyom hashvi. Yeah, you have to wash your clothes on the 7th day of the mace. Yeah, after 7 days of being in contact with the dead. That means Kol Tumah Shetem Metamin b'mace lo yupchutzin mishiva. There's a special pasuk that comes to outsmart, to outdo the concept of don mino v'mino, and tells you, but Tumas mace, whatever you think about the import-export business, I don't care. Tumas mace is always 7 days. Tumas mace, as long as you come in contact with the actual dead person himself, then it's 7 days, and all the kalim are 7 days, regardless of anything else. Okay, yes, questions? Jeffrey, Ellen, whoever wants to ask questions, now is the time. Now we are down to the last narrow line. And we're now back to our Mishnah. We're back to our Mishnah. And what did we say in the Mishnah? Before the Mishnah, please give me some information about shen v'regel v'keren basics. Where's shen v'regel chayav and where are they potter? I need to have my tea, so you're going to talk now? Potter b'shus rabim. And chayav? B'shus nizak. Very good. What about Keren, except for Reb Tarfon? Let's now, besides Reb Tarfon, Keren, where is it chayav? Keren of Tam. It's Keren of Tam. Keren of Tami. Where is it chayav? What? Both places chayav Hetzi Nezek. Beautiful. You guys are very choshuv. Now the Gemara wants to suggest all kinds of vachomer to change that halacha. We want to suggest that based on this halacha, things should be different because of vachomer. Let's see. We're going to have 5 different suggestions, throwing the dice in different ways to try and get a vachomer. But very quickly, we're going to basically kill those attempts of vachomer. Back to Gemara. Question number 1 out of 5. Let shen v'regel be chayav b'rshus harabim because of kal v'chomer. I want shen v'regel to be chayav b'rshus harabim. Why? Because of kal v'chomer. What kal v'chomer? Uma keren sheb'rshus hanizak enu v'shalom l'chatzi nezek. Keren, which in the private domain of the nizak pays only half. Yet b'rshus harabim chayeves. B'rshus harabim is also chayev. It's true, only half, but it's chayev. If so, shen v'regel sheb'rshus hanizak b'shalom nezek sholem. Shen v'regel in the private domain pays full nezek. So shen v'regel in the private domain is more chomer. Einu din sheb'rshus harabim chayev. So shen v'regel should also be chayev in rshus harabim. Because shen v'regel, when it comes to the private domain, they seem to be more chomer. So let them be also chomer in the public domain and be chayev. So the Gemara, that's all very nice, but you can't go against Mufresh pasuk. There's a black and white pasuk in the Torah, in the Bible. Omar Kro, says the pasuk, last line. It says only if your animals walked gingerly, sauntered into air, to the other person's field. Not Rishus Harabim. So nice kal v'chomer, nice try, but the pasuk says not Rishus Harabim. Zog the Gemara, Chavav Amud Aleph, today's page, the Gemara says, no, not giving up so easily. Midi kula kamrinan, palka kamrinan. Wait a second. I know there's a pasuk that distinguishes between Rishus Hanizak and Rishus Harabim. I did not want to say that it should pay full nezik in Rishus Harabim. What I meant when I suggested Shen v'regel b'Rishus Harabim, I meant only half. So then it's going to work very nicely. In Rishus HaYochid, Hanizak, says the Torah, you pay in full. As opposed to Reshus Harabim, you pay half. That's a gezunte question. It's true that the Torah says only Sdei Acher. Sdei Acher is full payment, but maybe Reshus Harabim would be half a payment, and don't get so extreme and pater completely, because that's against the kal vachomer from Kenan. And so the Gemara, Omar Kro, there's another pasuk to combat that. V'chotzu es kaspoi. They should divide his money, the money of whom? That pasuk talks about the owner of the shotam, and the drosha is kaspo shel zeh v'lo kaspo shel acher, which means kaspoi, the only one you can divide in Reshus Harabim is the shotam, but other nizikim in Reshus Harabim are excluded from the word kaspoi, his money of the shotam. Shotam is the only one in Reshus Harabim that can pay half. Shen and others, such as shen varegel, may have very nice logic, very impressive kal vachomer, but the Torah tells you otherwise. We follow the Torah. Number 2, Frag the Gemara now, a second attempt to do something else different. Let us say, let's suggest that shen varegel should be chayav b'reshus hanizak only half. Okay? In other words, I'm happy that shen varegel is chayav 0 in Reshus Harabim, but maybe in the domain of the nizak should only be half, not full. Why? Kal vachomer. Kal vachomer mikeren. By the way, that is not dealt with the previous answer, because that was chetzi b'Reshus Harabim. Now we're trying to suggest chetzi b'Reshus Yochid. That the Torah never spoke about. Yeah, and you know why I think that's logical? Look, I have a terrific kal vachomer from Keren, the kal vachomer mikeren. Uma keren sheb'Reshus Harabim chayeves. A keren b'Reshus Harabim is chayev half, but chayev b'Reshus hanizak eino mashalem chatzi nezek. Reshus hanizak stays half. Reshus hanizak doesn't make it any worse. It's only half. Shen varegel sheb'Reshus Harabim ptura. Shen varegel b'Reshus Harabim is 0. Eino din sheb'Reshus hanizak mashalem chatzi nezek. Reshus Harabim yochid should also be only half, which means if Reshus Harabim by Keren is half, and Reshus Harabim Yochid Nizak did not make any inflation. Reshus Yochid, when it comes to Keren, doesn't seem to be more scary or worse in any way. So now you want to tell me that the Torah told you that shen Reshus Yochid is what really pays? I know it pays, but why do you pay so much? Maybe stay with a half. From 0, you go up to half. From 0 Reshus Harabim, go to half in Reshus Nizak, but not more than half. Lo matzinu more than half when it comes to Keren. So maybe shen varegel should be the same. Omar Kro Yeshalem. Yeshalem. It says clearly when it talks about Reshus HaYochid, B'shilach Hasbiro B'ir B'sdei Acher, Meitav Seder Meitav Kamo Yeshalem. Tashlumin Me'alia, good full payment. By the way, this is where again English fails us, because the word leshalem in Hebrew, the shor shin lamed mem, has to do 2 things with leshalem, payment, and also shalem means full, complete, whole, as opposed to English. That's payment and that's whole, not the same word b'chlal. That leshalem means to make it whole, to fill in the gap. I took something from the store, now there are 500 less, so I'm complementing it by 500. And meshalem, I mashlim the missing part. That's the logic of Hebrew, of Lashon HaKodesh. Same thing over here. When it says yeshalem, it means full payment, not half. So yeah, very nice logic why it really should only be half. But no, who says, the Torah says, the shen varegel should be full nezek in Reshus HaNizak. Number 3, the third suggestion in the list. Wow. Let's now suggest that Keren in Reshus Harabim should be completely potur. Wow. Keren Reshus Harabim should be not chayav at all. Why? Mikal vachomer. Kal vachomer. What's a kal vachomer? Uma shen varegel sheb'Reshus hanizak, just like shen varegel. B'Reshus hanizak, how much do you have to pay? Nezek sholem. You always pay full payment, and that's already established. That there's no way to move out of there, right? Shalem, yeshalem, full nezek in Reshus hanizak shen varegel, and yet Reshus Harabim ptura. Reshus Harabim, fancy free. Reshus Harabim is do whatever you want. Reshus Harabim is California. If so, Keren sheb'Reshus hanizak chatzi nezek, a Keren which seems to be more severe, because even in Reshus hanizak it only pays half. Excuse me, not severe. Excuse me. Keren is less severe. In Reshus hanizak, Keren is only half and not full like the shen. Ein udin sheb'Reshus Harabim ptura. That's a very good kal vachomer. A keren in Oshus ha-nizak is only half, and we say Oshus harabim is always more lenient. So be lenient with keren too. So keren should pay 0. That's all very nice. It will be a very nice idea, but the Torah does not say that. Who's kro? The pasuk, the verse. Yechetzun. Yechetzun, yeah, what's yechetzun? It says an extra word, vesames yechetzun. There are 2 words that say yechetzun they should have, they should split. Ein chatzinezek choluk lo b'rshus harabim v'lo b'rshus hayochid, which means the Torah uses an extra word yechetzun to tell me that the mazik and nizak, they share the damage. In other words, the damager only pays half. Why an extra word? To tell me that the concept of chatzi nezek applies everywhere, throughout the different domains, be it Rashus HaYochid, of the Nizak, be it Rashus HaRabim, it's always chatzi nezek. So you have very nice logic. I'm impressed, but the Torah doesn't like what you say. These were the 3 kal vachomers we suggested regarding shen v'regel. Now we're moving to a different realm. We're moving to a different story. Still 2 more questions regarding a suggested kal vachomers which are rejected, but in a different field. Gemara, v'yeh odem chayav kofer. What's kofer? Remind me. Kofer, I don't mean a heretic. Yeah, what's a kofer? Of the bull, of the axe. What is a kofer? The payment. When does the bull have to pay kofer? Or maybe the owner, like you keep insisting. Yeah. What? When he kills 3 times. When he killed for the 3rd time, he has to pay kofer. Okay? A shor mu'ad pays kofer after 3 times, pays kofer. The amount of money that the victim was worth, he has to pay. He was worth 5 billion, he has to pay 5 billion.
What actually is the 3rd time carry and the 4th time?
3rd, like a Rover.
It is us.
I saw Malach is like Rover, I didn't see it inside, but the loch is usually like Rover, so I'm making the educated guess, it should be Rover. So it should be 3rd time. So also Rashi mentions it later. In any event, now let's so now the question is like this. Where are we? What happens if a person kills? What do you do to a person that kills? Well, if it's b'shoigeg, il miklat. If it's b'mezid with edim and asro, everything, there was warning, there was edim. What? Oh, no kofer, very, very good. There's no kofer by a man, by a person. But what do? You kill the guy, you execute him. That's a nicer word. What happens if a person falls between the cracks? Let's say the criminal, that can happen. He's not shogeg, he's mazid, and everybody knows he's mazid, but there wasn't enough evidence, or let's say there was no hasro. There were edim who testified, and they're very, very credible, but they didn't warn him, so it's not chayav. So the Ma'aseh Mishnah Sanhedrin says, you put such a guy, you starve him to death, basically, especially if it's maybe 1st or 2nd time. If you know he did it for sure, then he gets a different punishment than the one in the Torah. The question now is, let's say there's a person who's not supposed to get golus, not supposed to get misa, let him be chayav kofer. Maybe a person, Yosef said correctly, a person is never chayav kofer. You can't pay, a person cannot pay to the family of the murdered, and this way mechaper, atone for what he did. No, money is not enough over here. But let's say that he should be chayav kofer. Mikal vachomer. Let's make a kal vachomer from who? From the animal. Umashoir she'enu chayav b'arba dvorim. A show. Let's say my show gored a person and didn't kill him. He just injured him. My show gored someone, injured him. How much do you have to pay that person? Injured, not dead. I have to pay him nezek. Tam, muad, nezek. Do I also have to pay for medical expenses and for sitting at home and for losing work and for this and that and for the shame and for the pain? Yes or no? No. Only one man against the other has to pay arbod volim, the extra payments of damage, the 4 out of 5. But a show is not chayav arbod volim. If my dog, I don't have a dog and I'm never going to own one, Hashem, but let's say someone has a dog and the dog bit someone, that's not science fiction bichlal. Yeah, it happened to me, a dog bit me also. And now what? And now the dog, what do you have to pay the person? Nezek. Not about the shame, it was very funny, everyone was laughing. The dog bit him in a very funny place. Everyone had a circus, laughter over there. So maybe pay boishes. No, if my dog did something, I don't have to pay for boishes or for medical expenses. I just say pay the nezik, the actual worth of the person before and after. So masho she'einu chay b'arba dvorim chayav b'kofer, yet is chayav b'kofer. A shor is chayav b'kofer, even though it's lenient by the 4 payments. Odom shechay b'arba dvorim enodin she'chayav b'kofer. A person who's chayav with the 4 things. The person has to pay all 5 payments. If I punched my friend in the nose, not my dog, if I bit him, if I bit someone, so now he has a whole claim against me, chas v'sholem, nezik, tzar, ripu, sheves, and boishes, all 5. If so, of course you should also pay kofer. That's a suggestion. No, what do you say?
Person who wants to.
Tell me, a person is more right from the start. You can't say, I didn't know it's going to happen. No, a person should be responsible for what he does. By the way, we're going to get there. I don't know if today, but that's the mission at the bottom of the page. There will be Sunday's here. So now the question is, a person should pay kofer. Yes, he's muad. Very nice, Yitzchok. Actually, your comment was in place. Your comment was very much in place. Because who pays kofer shol muad? An adam is muad. And if we say, right, and if an adam pays for dvorim, well, the more should pay kofer, vachomer. And so the Gemara, that's very nice, but again, the Torah seems to be against human logic. When he talks about the owner of the bull, it says whatever whatever is placed on him, any payment placed on him, he has to pay. Olav loyal odom. There's a kosuv on him, on the shore owner for the show, he has to pay kofer, and not an odom. An odom is potter kofer. Why? Because Hashem decided so. Frag the Gemara now, the 5th and last attempt for a new vachomer. Maybe now the other way. It's exactly now the same vachomer, turning the tables the other way, flipping the coin. Let's say that shor should be chayav on 4 things from a vachomer. Maybe if my dog bit my neighbor, maybe I should pay him all 5 payments. Vachomer from a person. The same vachomer twisted around. A person is not chayav kofer. We have established that already. If one kills his friend, lo aleinu, there's no payment involved. There's worse punishment. Better punishment, no money is involved. And yet, when payments, when you injured one and you didn't kill him, you injured a person, didn't kill him. You have to pay all 5 payments with the whole frill. If so, show shechai b'kofer, you show that has to pay kofer for a dead person, for killing a person. And adin shechai b'albod. Won't you say that he also chayav to pay the 4 things? So if my dog bit my neighbor, my bull, I have so many oxen, I don't know. Maybe one of my oxen, he gores the neighbor. Maybe one of them. So you should pay all 5 things. Nice try. When he talks about the person injuring his friend and thus has to pay all 5 payments with all shapes and colors, it says there, ish ba'mitoi, a man with his friend, a man hitting his friend, as opposed to who, and that's an extra word because it's very understandable over there. It's understood, self-explained that we're talking about a person. Why do you again have to say it's a person? To exclude show, an extra word to exclude and say v'lo show ba'amitoi. Amit, what's an amit? Now they found a new word in the shul. I actually liked it. They translated very nice a word in the shul in the campaign. They said you can be either a chaver or amit. Amit. You see in the Torah, Amit is a friend. Amit is like a colleague. Amit is less than a friend. Amiti is my colleague. You want to introduce, let's say you work with Israelis and you want to introduce your colleague to the new group. It says Amiti. My Amit is my colleague, my friend from work, not buddy. So show, 1 second. Lo show ba'amitoi. A show, if my bull gored my Amit, my friend, or Stam, next door neighbor, I don't have to pay the 5 things. Why? Because that's what Hashem decided. Yes, Rabbi Vinisti?
No.
Okay. By the way, there is logic here, because we said the mere fact that I have to pay for what my animal did is already a chiddush, because it's a groma. So I only know the Torah was mechadish, not any further than that. The Torah says if my animal charged, if my animal gored, my animal bit, my animal kicked, I have to pay, but not more than just the actual nezik. Anything beyond that, that's already too far-fetched. It's not me who did it, okay? Iboilu. Okay, questions now? We're out of North, we're in South Korea. Iboilu, continue? No? Fine. Iboilu. Baruch has a question, I think.
Rabbi.
Yes. Now, Iboilu. Here comes a question which we may think is not related. Soon we'll see how the question is related to our sugya. Iboilu, very interesting question. Regel. Regel is what? An animal walking innocently, gingerly, walking around. Shedos al gabi tinoik, oy vavoy, what a tragedy. It stepped or trampled, whatever you want to call it, it stepped all over a baby. There was a baby lying there innocently, and the bull walked all over him, and he didn't mean to kill anybody. It's not keren, it's regel, but the regel accidentally killed the baby as the big bull was walking all over him. Where did it happen? Chotza Nizak. In the chotza of the Nizak, the baby's parents are unhappy with the bull's behavior. The neighbor's bull came and stepped all over the baby innocently. Seriously, I'm saying it's like a walking like a bull from the cartoons, is walking all over, and he killed the baby by mistake. So that's regel. Interesting case. It's regel that killed. Usually we look at keren as a killer, but now there's a regel. Regel can also kill. Honestly, everybody admitted, everybody witnessed the fact the bull was walking there, Stam, not angry, he was in a very good mood, Stam walking around, and killed the baby. The baby was 2 weeks old, I don't know, very, very tiny. The animal didn't see it and tripped all over. Now, Mahu shetishalem kofer. The question is, shall we say that behemoth should pay kofer? Does he have to pay kofer, yes or no? Now, let's remember, the only case we found kofer in the Torah is by goring, yeah, which is keren. That's usually how animals kill. Usually animals kill when they're angry, they kill someone on purpose. So that's keren. That's old hats. What about kofer when it comes to regel? What's the question? The Gemara elaborates on the question, and the Gemara says like this: Mi amrinan, shall we say, option number one, mi didavia keren. Listen, this is like keren. Keren came in the oved trei utlosa zimni urchehu mushalem kofer, which means, as we correctly said, very nice what Yitzchak said, that a keren, when does keren pay kofer? That's what I said. After 3 times, the third time. Only when the keren becomes muad, then you pay kofer. Okay, achinami lo ishno. Here too, that's muad. Why? Because regel is muad right from the start. Remember, shen and regel are muad from day one. It's normal for any animal from day one of its life to eat and walk. So I don't care if it's keren or regel, says the parents of the baby. Of course you pay us. This is muad. When the Torah says keren, it was an example, keren muad, and the tam doesn't pay. But muad does pay kofer, well, that's muad. I don't care if it's keren or shmeren or regel. The mice, it's muad, it's normal. Look after your animal, and it happened in chotzer and nizak. Regel is chav chotzer nizak. Oy dilma, or maybe no, or maybe not. Keren comes now another alternative. Keren kavanos lahazik. And kavanos lahazik. Maybe not. Maybe when the Torah spoke about keren, it spoke about an animal that is a vicious animal with a very bad record, and that's the 3rd time the animal is behaving like a criminal, and you're not looking after it. I'm screaming now on behalf of the parents, yeah? And what? And therefore over there, of course, you have to pay. After by the 3rd time you pay, but here I'm not on behalf of the parents. I'm on behalf of the ox person. And kavanos alazik, here there was no kavanah to damage. Maybe when the Torah demands to pay kofer, it's only by keren muad. But an animal that has no bad intentions, an animal that behaves innocently, maybe there's no kofer. Nobody says it's a nice thing to do. Yeah, but Lamai said the kofer may not be prescribed over here, because it's not keren. Maybe the Torah says keren. It means keren only. It's not an example for a muad. It's dafka keren muad, but regel may not. We don't know. Yes or no? How do you interpret the words of the Torah when the Torah says keren muad? Is it any muad, or is it dafka keren muad? We don't know. So now let's listen to the following brisa to try and get orientation about regel paying or not paying kofer. Let's just refresh our memory before we continue. Who pays kofer again? The owner of the bull that gored how many times? 3. Then now is his 3rd time, okay? The kofer, but the 3rd time is paid, but the 1st and 2nd you don't pay, okay? That's the mainstream opinion. Now we're going to see other opinions. Toshma, come in here. A person allowed his show, into the owner, into his friend's balabais with no permission from the owner of the house. Basically trespassed there with his show. And sure enough, the unwanted guest, what did he do? He gored the owner of the house. Umeis, who died? The owner. The owner died. The owner died from the goring of the show. A show beskila. The show for sure has to die. By the way, a show has to die already from the first time. Don't get confused. Show tam that killed, even the first time, you have to kill him. I think that's a law today in some countries. If an animal killed a person, you kill the animal. That's why some people in America were very upset that it was a lioness who killed a child and they didn't want the lioness to die. So the kids are shor beskila. A show goes beskila, ubeolov. What about the owner? Bein tam, bein muad, b'shalom kofer, shalom diva b'talfon. Whoa, what? Listen to this. Bein tam, bein muad. Whether the shore is tam or muad, b'shalom kofer shalom. You have to pay full kofer, says Rabbi Talfon. Wait a minute. Didn't Rabbi Teichtal just tell you now about 10 times that only the muad pays kofer and the tam doesn't? And here Rabbi Talfon says, not like that. Rabbi Talfon says that a show tam pays kofer, and full kofer, not even half. You're in a question? Good. The Gemara also asks the question. Kofer shalom betam, Rabbi Talfon minale. Where did Rabbi Talfon come up with this idea that a show tam should pay kofer, and not just kofer, but full kofer? What? Where did we find such a thing? I'll tell you why. Lav mishum desover like Rabbi Yossi Glili must be because he believes he is a follower of Rabbi Yossi Glili. Rabbi Yossi Glili's opinion we did see before, and we'll see later. What Rabbi Yossi Glili say? The Omer tam mishalim chatzi kofer b'rshus harabim. Rabbi Yossi Glili, first of all, is the one that, don't get confused now with different opinions. So far, the only opinions we have to know is Rabbi Yossi clearly says that a tam pays chatzi kofer. Okay? The mainstream opinion, Rabbanon, what do they say? Tam pays 0 kofer. Rabbi Yossi clearly says tam pays half a kofer. So far, so good. Now comes the third one, Rabbi Talfon, the most machmir. He says you have to pay full nezek in Reshus HaYochid for kofer for tam. Whoa, why did it come so extreme? I'll tell you why. I'll read again. I'm going up one line. Again. Rabbi Talfon extrapolates on Rabbi Yossi Glili. Rabbi Yossi Glili says, "Chatzi kofer b'rshus harabim, you pay." Good. Remember Rabbi Talfon? Rabbi Talfon is a big believer in kal vachomer, even in the price of dayo, right? Kal vachomer is stronger than dayo. But Talfon is the man of kal vachomers. Very good. Must be he learned it kal vachomer from regel. And what does he hold? He holds that regel has to pay what? Regel in Reshus HaRabim potur, right? And yet you chayav if you pay kofer. He believed that you pay kofer, half a kofer b'Reshus HaRabim you have to pay in Reshus HaRabim, right? So in Reshus HaYochid you have to pay how much? Kofer shalem. Because Reshus HaYochid is always worse. Reshus HaYochid is a chamur. It's always a more severe place. You entered your friend's red taped area, right? So must be alma, that is to say, ika kofer beregel. In order for this kal vachomer to function, must be you hold there is kofer in regel, right? Because good kofer in a kofer like Rabbi Yossi Glili, you pay half in Reshus HaRabim. I, Rabbi Talfon, like the idea and extrapolate on that. I even, I exaggerate that to the point of what? That now in Reshus HaYochid you pay full kofer, because Rabbi Talfon is a big believer in always magnifying things in Reshus HaYochid, as he did in the Mishnah also about Keren. Very nice. Must be that this is a tool used by Rabbi Talfon to make the kal vachomer work. Meanwhile, you see that kofer beregel exists. You see, there's kofer and regel. Remember our question? We didn't know whether an animal that innocently walks all over the baby and kills him, whether it's chayav or not. Well, it looks like you are chayav, right? Otherwise, the Tarfon's kal vachomer won't function. So you see, that's the answer. And by the way, that's halacha. You see the little aleph on the word ika? That shows that really halacha is like that. If an animal innocently kills the person, in his own reshus, chayav kofer. You have to pay for the person. However, Rav Shimon Ardo is going to now reject what we said, and he says, no, not necessarily. I can make the vachomer of Talfon work even without kofer. Says Rav Shimon Ardo, Tana minezikin deregel maisi lo. No, he wants to say not like that. Our Tana learns it from nezikin deregel, not from kofer, but from nezikin of regel. What does that mean? We thought that in order to come up with that very mechudishnik idea of having full payment in short time for kofer, for killing for kofer, we said must be there's a reshus harabim, you pay half, and that's how you came up with a full nezek in reshus harabim, and must be what? That's kofer beregel. Says the Gemara, not necessarily. Could be that we can chuck kofer out of the window at the beginning. We only learn it from the nezikin of regel. We learn it from the nezikin. I want to read it to you in Rashi inside. Nezikin of regel, before Rashi, I'll tell you about peh. Nezikin of regel means just like regel in reshus harabim is potur, right? And yet reshus harabim chayav everything, so too we're going to say that keren that's chayav reshus harabim, so too. No, I have to see Rashi inside. No. Here I'm getting confused. Nezikin the regel. Look at the Rashi over here. Nezikin the regel. Rashi is here. Nezikin the regel is Rashi. That Rashi here. Look at me. Nezikin the regel is here in the middle. Nezikin the regel. Yeah. Nezikin the regel ma'isila. Uloilam leika kofer beregel. Really, there's no kofer beregel. The Achigam of Talfon. Rab Talfon learns as follows. Ma regel shebashus harabim potur nezikin. As we said, regel, stam regular nezikin. The regel trampled not over people. The regel trampled over dishes, over fruit. Are you chayav in reshus harabim? No. Reshus hanizak, nezek sholem. Reshus hanizak, you pay nezek sholem. Of course, reshus hanizak regel is full payment. Keren shebashus harabim chatzi kofer kerbi yosi aglili. Reshus harabim, you pay half a kofer like Rabbi Yossi Glili in Keren. In Keren, he wants to say, Einodin shebashus hanizak kofer sholem. Must be reshus hanizak, you pay kofer sholem. The problem is, I'll tell you why I was confused, because it sounds like we're staying in Keren and we remain in Keren all the time. Chatzi kofer in Keren. Now, our Havana was that we wanted to prove Tarfon holds kofer regarding regel. So I'm still in trouble. Because kofer beregel, and that's where I stopped preparing. I didn't go beyond that point. So that's where the shir will have to finish. Wow, 5 minutes earlier. Unbelievable. Unless you have questions. You have 5 minutes of feeling out of North Korea. Breathe the freedom. I want to tell you one important thing before we will continue on Sunday. I'll have to get an answer for that one. Bekitzer, my question is, okay, maybe the Gemara will ask it later on, actually. We'll see later. I want to start the new Musa thing. Elul is coming Monday. Yeah, so if you'd like, I want to do 5 minutes of a new sefer that I found. I found a new sefer. It's like an old manuscript which was found in it's called Mar'al Kishut HaNeshama. It's from the 16th century, a Gaon called Rav Ashkenazi, Rav Bar Yekar, someone Ashkenazi, and he writes a very interesting sefer about Midas, and he compares every good Midah to one of the tribes of the 12 Shvatim. So each Shevet can teach us a good Midah. And he put it on his house apparently like a poster. The whole sefer is very short, by the way. It was originally like a poster on the wall, so you can see the 12 midos, the good ones and the bad ones are both, and you have like a mirror to look at every day. Just like you have a mirror, it says to adorn yourself, to whatever, or for a woman, for a man should not look, but yeah. So too, you have a mirror in your face to look at your midas, good or bad, and compare yourself to the Shvatim. Each Shevet is a midah. Let's say Reuven is a nova. Why is Reuven a nova? Okay, so that we'll see Meretz Hashem. Okay, we'll do a few minutes before Bishir. Okay.
I'll say goodbye.
Hello, thank you very much. The shir is over. Shkoich. Rosh Chodesh is always later. Yeah.